Hey there! In this Photoshop CC tutorial, I'm going to show you how to make some quick selection tools using Photoshop. Use the clone tool, use the text tool, and use your brush. Just have some fun in Photoshop CC. So in the video description, I've given you a link to a mushroom photo. So let's open up our mushroom photo. Remember, when you have your mushroom photo there, if you click on layers, you can see I have my layer locked. I like to double click on it, hit OK, and unlock it. And in Photoshop, when you hover your mouse over something, it'll tell you what it does. This, in some previous Photoshop editions, used to be an arrow for the move tool. Now it looks like that. But if I want to make a quick selection of this mushroom, first thing I want to do is I'm going to click on my magnifying glass, click and drag out a selection of that mushroom. I like to be nice and close. And the first one is our Lasso Tool. So if I click and drag down, I can quickly make a selection of this mushroom, like this. When it's selected, it'll have this interesting halo on it. I can click Edit Copy, Edit Paste, and using my Move tool, I can drag it over, and now I have two. You'll notice as well in your layers, I have my original image and I have this extra mushroom. But if you look at it, it doesn't look great. We didn't do the best selection possible. So if I go back to this first layer, there's other selection tools. So I like using the Quick Selection tool. Now remember, in Photoshop, each tool that has a little triangle there in the bottom right hand corner has other options. I'm going to make sure the plus is selected, and I can make the brush smaller up here. I could choose something like 38, or if I press the square brackets on my keyboard, I can make the brush quickly bigger and smaller. So I'm going to start down here, clicking, and Photoshop's pretty good at selecting what I want, everything that's a little bit different. And there we go. I'm going to click Edit Copy and Edit Paste, and I can move it over, and I have another nice selection. Now this one's better than the one that I made over here. Okay, let's hide these two layers so I can hide the work that I've done. I'm going to click on layer 0, and let's say I wanted to clone this mushroom. So I'm going to look for the clone tool, which is this one here, the clone stamp tool. I'm going to click on that. I am going to hold Option on my keyboard. If you notice, when I press Option, I get this nice target. I'm going to click once on my mushroom, and I'm going to start coloring over here. So I'm duplicating the mushroom that was on that side. Okay, so I'm quickly drawing, and I'm duplicating what was over there, like so. Okay, so the clone stamp tool is kind of handy if you want to duplicate things as well. So that's another tool we can use in Photoshop. Some other fun tools, I like using the Paintbrush tool. So I'm going to click on the Paintbrush tool, and when I click down here, I get lots of different options for brushes, special effect brushes, dry brushes, and you can just try the different brushes in Photoshop or the general brushes. And once you've selected one, you can choose a color. So let's say I wanted to just color with green. And you can see what that looks like. I'm going to put it on a new layer, and you can just start coloring and see what that looks like. Okay. Let's say I wanted to color this mushroom. So let's make sure I'm on the right layer. I want to color my original mushroom. If you click on your brush tool, I can choose the color replacement tool. I want to keep the texture, but I want to make this mushroom purple. So I'm going to click here, click on my purple color, hit OK, make the brush a little bit bigger. I'm going to start coloring, and what's nice about this brush is I'm keeping all the nice texture of the mushroom. but I'm making it a wacky purpley pink color. Okay. And the last thing I'm going to do is just show you quickly the text tool. Let's say I want to name this. I definitely don't want to use Comic Sans. Maybe I'll use this tool, this font. When I have the text tool selected, I'm going to click and drag out a box. And I can add some text here. Mushrooms by Mr. Martinez. And now you'll notice the painting that I did earlier is covering it up, so I can drag this layer up and put it up at the top. Oops. I'll bring it up here, right there. Mushrooms by Mr. Martinez. So again, this quick tutorial, how to make selections, how to do some fun stuff with the clone tool, the paintbrush tool, and add some simple text to your photograph.